Things are getting wild in Philly. Things are getting wild in Philly. We have a Dianna Russini wannabe. Now, remember Diana and all those anonymous source stories she was putting out there that were basically trying to wreck the Philadelphia Eagles season, bashing Jalen Hurts and on and on. We had Derek Gunn, who, since he got fired or let go, basically has become irrelevant. Seems like a guy that's not really a Philadelphia Eagles player type of guy, all with anonymous sources to go after Jalen Hurts. And now we've got another one, another from the Athletic, just like Diana. So of course, we can't really give it a whole lot of credibility, but it's the same type of story. Here we go. There's a sense, and I'm disappointed. I've got to say, and a little disappointed in Philadelphia Eagles Central for passing this along as if it's factual. There's a sense inside the Eagles locker room that Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, and Jeffrey Lurie are reluctant to criticize Jalen Hurts, despite being the source of much internal frustration from teammates, per little Mikey Silver of The Athletic. And a lot of people, of course, immediate reaction to this is it's clickbait and all of that. And let's check this out. Let's look at a bit of this, right? This is wild, guys, what they're connecting. Stay with me. Hertz, who has an endorsement deal with Michael Jordan's brand within the Nike subdivision, we're talking about a brand deal, fashions himself as the NFL's MJ. Witness his hallway pose with a cigar and the Lombardi trophy last February, and some in the organization take that personally. This is, I mean, this is like what, seventh grade, middle school, mean girl stuff? Are we serious with this right now? Jalen Hurts has a brand deal with the MJ brand at Nike, and that is upsetting to some people in the Philadelphia Eagles organization. I don't believe a word of it, but it goes on. Jordan at times could be abrasive and biting while relentlessly prodding his teammates to push themselves to excellence. He was also, in the opinion of many, the greatest basketball player of all time, as well as the dude you absolutely wanted with the ball in his hands and everything on the line. And there's a reason he added that part. Hurts had that chance last Sunday, and his performance wasn't exactly Jordan-esque. And although that single failure doesn't disqualify him from being able to lead, blah, blah, woof, woof. Go check the Nick Foles video I did the other day, specifically to that final play against the San Francisco 49ers. And one other thing, two things I want to get to on this real quick, and then I want to address something else. Shout out to Thomas R. Peterson, written by this guy, by the way. Here's Mike Silver. I believe they're watching, someone said they're actually watching film of that Eagles lost to the 49ers in 2023. Obviously, hanging out with the 49ers there. You can see that. And I think, I don't know if I have, is this the one with, yes, this dude, like most in the media nowadays, is an unqualified clown. That is what I said. Now, keep in mind, here we go. And I apologize for making this part a little bit about me, but it was just I thought this was kind of wild because check this out. This guy, right, n- knew he's got a book out, national columnist for The Athletic, partner of Backstage Media, SI, NFL Network, Yahoo alum. Okay, you saw the comment that I left, right? You saw the comment that I left. Um, I think, right? Yeah, this dude, like most in the media nowadays, is an unqualified clown. I mean, that's actually true, but again, it's Twitter. There's a million things worse than that. But check this out. Check this out, y'all. Let's scroll down a little bit. He blocked me, little old me, for making a comment that he didn't like about his made up article to trash Jalen Hurts. Blocked. That's wild. That is absolutely wild. So look, this stuff's not going to let up. We've got a whole campaign as well on um, the local Philly sports media want an offensive coordinator that is not going to work well with Jalen Hurts. Seriously, and there's so much of it. I'll get to some of that in another video because it's kind of important. But there was one other thing. Where is it like? But just as an example, real quick. I think this is no, where is it? I have it here somewhere. Yeah, let's listen to ES. Yeah, no, that's not the one. My bad. My bad, y'all. Now you know what? I think I got. Oh, here we go. Joe, listen to Joe at WIP. Check this out.
I have one request for the Philadelphia Eagles as they go in and they try to find their next offensive coordinator. Find the best offensive mind. All I want is them to find the best offensive mind. I don't want this to be about rehabilitating Jalen Hurts or finding the coordinator that meshes the best with Jalen Hurts. If those two things work out to be one and the same, that's perfect. I mean, that would be wonderful if we find the best offensive mind that also can help resurrect Jalen to play the best he's played in years. That would be the best case scenario.
That would be the best case scenario. But if you notice, he emphasizes what he would rather have is a great offensive mind, even if that means the Eagles' offense doesn't play well because everything that guy wants to do doesn't work with Jalen Hurts at quarterback, which is, of course, absolutely insane. That right there should disqualify Joe from being off the air, but we know WIP as a brand.
But as I go into this, I just want the best offensive mind. And we know there's certain elements of Jalen's game that maybe work better with certain systems than others, right? Like
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, he's got second reaction ability, right? He makes plays off of script.
Hmm.
He doesn't always just drop back and throw, right? He moves. Now there are some schemes. Let's take the Shanahan McVay scheme. That's not kind of the way they want their quarterbacks to play, right? They
Hmm.
want it to be on time. But if the Eagles interview someone over the next week or so, and it's from that tree, and they think that guy's the best coordinator, that guy's the best offensive mind, well, then, Hugh, I think it is time to evolve. I think it's time to change. I would ask Jalen to get on board with that and to hope he improves to the point where he can run that offense great and the two of them mesh together. But like sometimes when teams go into this, they say, we got to make our quarterback better, and they look for the right fit to make their quarterback better. Sometimes teams say, we're just looking for the best offensive mind. And Hugh, that's where I'm at. I just want the Eagles to hire the best offensive mind.
This is some of the most ridiculous nonsense I've ever heard. What Joe is trying to couch here is he wants Jalen Hurts gone. That's what you were hearing when he talked about that. And hopefully Jalen can get on board. Oh, but if it doesn't work out in that way, then he can't do these things. It's important to have the offensive coordinator. But to that point, just to give you an idea how ridiculous he is with this stuff, let me know in the comments because I don't think so. Does anyone think an offensive mind like a Kyle Shanahan or a Sean McVay couldn't come into Philly and mold an offense around the strengths of Jalen Hurts while minimizing the weaknesses? Because all QBs have weaknesses, right? That's not the point. And I gave an example in a video earlier in the season. I won't go to, but that's what happened here with Randall Cunningham, which is stupid. And someone mentioned it was actually John Gruden. I completely forgot that it was John Gruden. I think Ray Rhodes was the head coach at the time, where we tried to make the Eagles offense a, three-step drop, quick slant, short passing game offense. Randall Cunningham has so much talent. It was a phenomenal quarterback, but he had a big windup, which meant, really quick things like that, three-step drop, quick slant. That was not his game. He struggled. They traded him to Minnesota. Minnesota worked with what he did well, intermediate and deep passes. And I believe it was Pro Bowler his first year in Minnesota, right? So he wasn't washed up in Philadelphia. It was a matter of trying to fit him into a scheme that didn't work for him, right? That's absurd. Now, does that mean you don't evolve an offense and you don't have your quarterback doing things differently? Of course, they always have to evolve. But they've got this mentality of we actually just want Jalen gone. That's what this is about. And the last thing I want to address, because I know this one's getting kind of long, but I don't remember what video it was. It might have been the last one I did, but the anti Jalen Hurts, the Jalen Hurts haters found it and they're freaking out and yelling and screaming and insulting me and they're talking about how no one can ever criticize Jalen and all this and that. And it's not that at all. Okay. And I think I even said this in another video. It's just that we've got our own local media as well as the national media bashing the man 24/7 with a lot of inaccurate stuff and a lot of lies. And also the hit pieces just on him as a person, like we just saw with the anonymous sources with the athletic article and so forth. And we don't have time to address the weaknesses in the game. But what's wild about it is Every quarterback has weaknesses. Are there things I think Jalen Hurts can do better? Yeah, of course. Do I think I've never said he's by far the best quarterback in the league. I'm not even look, if you said he's top 10 but not top 5, okay. Maybe this year he wasn't even top 10, although obviously the play calling and the offensive line play and all that has a lot to do with that as well. That clearly impacts the quarterback, but and don't forget there was a reason he was a late-ish second round pick. Okay, he wasn't a sure thing as a quarterback. I was actually shocked the Eagles gave him as much of a chance to develop and become the starter as they did when the Carson Wentz stuff imploded. I think, and like people talk about him going over the middle, and he doesn't like to go over the middle, and he's not good at, and that is not true. But like I'll say this, and this is the reality of something he can't. Well, he can fix it a little bit, but he's what 6'1", 6'1", I think. He's not, which is one of the reasons people love Tanner McKee because he looks like the prototypical drop back passer, right? Pretty big guy, 6'5", can drop back and see everything, can throw, and that is true. Like you'll see you're more likely to see missed passes, intermediate deep passes, intermediate passes over the middle, especially that look inaccurate from a quarterback like Jalen than from Tanner McKee in the simple fact of the physics of it all. It's more difficult for Jalen because he has to get the ball up and over a defensive line that can either bat it down or bat it up in the air, and then you're looking at interceptions, but then get it to come down low enough to make it a catchable ball for a receiver, and that's more difficult for a 6'1" quarterback than it is for a 6'5" quarterback. Now, of course, you can look at, well, where is his release point, right? You can work on him with on a quarterback with their higher release point and this and that. But so yeah, it's. Do I think at times he bails out of the pocket too quickly? Yeah, I think so. But I'm also watching these other guys that never get criticized do a lot of bad stuff, right? All quarterbacks have issues. I keep hearing how Jalen has this super team, but we don't want to talk about the weapons Matthew Stafford has or the fact that he never won anything in Detroit, for which he had his first 7 years with a prime Calvin, Megatron, Johnson. No one ever talks about that. Oh yeah, we've got AJ Brown and we've got the young Devontae Smith, who's a good quarterback. Matthew Stafford's first 7 years in Detroit. Calvin Johnson, one of the best wide receivers in the history of the NFL. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, tell me what you got to say. I will talk to you later.